Am I okay to mute?
Greetings, beautiful ones, and welcome to A Life of Peace, the impact, the the mark, the impact, and the legacy. And I want to welcome you all today, and we have with us someone who's going to share a very special journey. Alyssa has been a part of A Life of Peace family for some years now. And she took the naturopathic herbalist journey with us. And since I haven't talked to an herbalist during this series, I thought that it would be great to have Alyssa in because she is a dedicated herbalist, a mother, and also a spiritual counselor as well. And all of those things kind of go hand in hand when it comes to herbalism and working with nature and knowing what nature provides and how to use it. Peace, Alyssa. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Akua and everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for being with us. Now, I have a question for you about the naturopathic herbalist journey. We've been doing that program for, I think, more than 15 years now. And it was a program that was near and dear to my heart because when I started the program, I formulated it exactly like my very first herbalist program, which was as a correspondence course. And I know that I knew that I wouldn't have time to actually have students to come and study under me as an herbalist. So I wanted to make something very practical for students to be able to get the full range of herbs as it relates to nutrition, herbs as it relates to medicine, herbs as it relates to our hormonal balances, herbs as it relates to the business aspect of herbology. And so when I put the program out there, literally it just took off. So I'm very happy that through the years we've been able to help families to get into the herbalist and the natural frame of mind. So my question to you is, how was your journey through the naturopathic herbalist program? And how have you used it for yourself, your family, and your community?
Okay, thank you. My life through the program at the time when you entered my life was I was actually living up in Humboldt County, California. I'm surrounded by some of the largest trees in the world, and I immediately um, had to tell myself to slow down and with your course because I was so excited. Um, I was ready to jump into using the herbs as medicine and going straight into there, but knew I had to slow down. Um, for example, pu'er tea that I discovered has a chemical breakdown. It's actually green tea that undergoes it ferments and undergoes a chemical compound molecular change that literally mocks the medication lovastatin, which is Mevacor, which helps lower your cholesterol levels. And at the time, prior to being in Humboldt, I have I have an allopathic background of being a pharmacy technician. And so I immediately, being a candidate that had raised triglyceride levels, immediately took to pu'er tea. And the pu'er tea did lower my triglyceride levels. And so immediately, when I had discovered your program, um, I was already also living with an herbalist, and it was something that your foundation caught my attention, Dr. Akua. The foundation of taking on ancient traditions and then being able to learn through your perspective that everything our body needs to be Forgive me, my 7-month-old, everybody.
It's
Um,
okay.
but that I learned that everything I will ever need will always be provided to me from spirit within my area that I am in. And and so that is something that touched me greatly. And so I was like, oh, I don't need to go just to herbalists, like the herb stores. So having your manual is something that immediately was like, wow, I don't need to go 50 miles up north to the store anymore. I can actually now go through my manual to proceed in healing myself past just my raised triglyceride level. One moment, please. I'm on a very important call. Forgive me. The naturopathic course and herbalist course has also taught me. I'm a mother, right? I don't mean to get sidetracked from how my life was during this course. I get so excited with this topic, and my two littles being near me perhaps is something that makes me a little more excited. Um, because at the time during the course, I didn't have my children, you see. Um, when Dr. Akua Gray says that she's known me for some years and I've been a part of a life of peace for some years, I mean, for a handful of years and proudly. I had undergone circumstances and experiences that were repeating themselves. And so to have this naturopathic and herbalist program that connected me to Dr. Akua Gray was something that grounded me because I wasn't walking alone anymore. I was walking with a circle that might have not been 3D because, like Dr. Akua Gray said, I will get there. I eventually became a spiritual life coach. And it was not 3D, but it's real. A life of peace is a real circle to me. And those are brothers and sisters. And the more aligned I am with the work, the more powerful the circle becomes. And so one of the best things that allowed me to stay focused was the patience that Dr. Akua Gray had with me during this entire process. Because that alone taught me that being a naturopath wasn't about jumping to learn about the herbs on how to use them. Like that was actually extremely unacceptable. And that's when the course really started to set in. It started grounding me. I started eating, like I was eating lentils. I was getting mung beans. I mean, mung beans, I never heard of eating mung beans before taking Dr. Okuage's course. I have mung beans now. Actually, I was really interested in sprouting them now. I think the natural sprouts are going to be delicious. And as a parent, I think that it's going to just feed. My daughter loves like greens, spinach. She'll just eat spinach raw. So I think that those sprouts would be extremely nutritious. And so, um, yeah, and so I was able to um, connect to my community as well through A Life of Peace, through the program, because there were lessons that required me to actually get out and talk to people in my communities in order to accomplish the lessons in the program. And so when I had left Humboldt, I went north, more north to Washington. And at the time was in a really small town called Kettle Falls. And it's because of A Life of Peace in the naturopathic program that I literally realized that this small town had nothing, like no, not nothing. No, no, no. There's always someone, especially in the mountains. But what I mean is like storefront for the community to walk into other than the acupuncturist in town, which is great. I mean, but that made me realize, wow, there's a lot of help that's needed in the communities. Um, and so I, after the program, I think I'll start going into there. I had actually prior to the end of the finishing the program, I got pregnant. And a lot of complexities came up in the program, but you have to remember it's not only an herbalist program, it's a naturopathic program as well. And that being said, I took straight into the chapter revolving pregnancy and the mindset I'm supposed to have. And oh my gosh, my passion inside is raising, everybody. You're going to see me kind of get a little more energetic here. Um, because of this manual I have, I literally let me just start with, I birthed both my babies with no medicine, okay? All natural. They asked me if I was interested, but no. And I was contracting 8 minutes away from 25 hours with my daughter who came out first, actually. But no, after 24 hours, I thought, I think I might need something here. But when they went to put that mask on me, I was like, whoa, no, this is no. And just the nurse said I needed to relax and the job was done. However, where I'm going to get more excited here is this. My first TMI was due actually to a bacterial infection that kickstarted me into labor. My second child was full term and actually late. He was late. My parents were already here. And this is an important story that goes straight into my naturopathic and herbalist program and my client manual today that I still use and reference to all the time. So I wasn't like I was dilated. I was walking 4 miles a day. My parents were visiting me from where I grew from SoCal. I'm way far up north. They were only here for a specific time. They even told me whether the baby's here or not. We're going on this date. Okay. I had a lot of chatter in my ear and pressure as to induce my baby and my body that it's completely natural. And I was on a mission to go natural, pain like drug free. And I literally had to say like put a boundary to that, by the way. So that was my naturopathic like self, and my spiritual life coach self was just boundary that. If I should have had a midwife, however, if you're gonna be here, this is what I need. And I'm walking and all of a sudden my spirit said, I'm missing something. I go into my client manual and there's a spiritual, mental, physical, sorry, wrong brain. Mental womb, physical womb, spiritual womb. I'm missing one, humbly.
Emotional womb.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, Dr. Akua. So the emotional womb. So I read through that, immediately realized I was not connecting to my spiritual womb. I accepted I needed to let go more. Guys, that was at like 9 o'clock in the morning after I went for a walk. At 2 p.m., I went next level. And my baby was out, checked in at 5:55. He was out at 6:37. And that is a definite example of how I still utilize the program today. And it was super empowering, but I always tell people that it definitely comes down to the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional womb when it comes to pregnancies and preparing. And
Yes.
I could really keep going. And as far as transitioning from the program that A Life of Peak has and the Naturopathic Herbology program, I then got out of the program. My daughter was 11 months old. I was unaware I was in pretty heavy postpartum. And I ended up re realizing that experiences and circumstances were still repeating themselves in my life. And I was very interested and intrigued and was still getting a lot of what I call downloads, and started accepting the fact that I have a spiritual gift that I really need to harness and that I need mentoring on. And I just looked in the mirror and was like, you might feel a lot that people don't see, but you have a lot of learning to do, like a shaman. And people use that word so lightly, but I'm really not. Like it's like a 10-year journey of needing like real mentorship on how to grasp the energy use it, transform it. But when I say transform it, it's not even like you yourself or myself that's like transforming it. You know, that's where that magic is also coming from. Magic, I love that word, by the way. Maybe a lot of people don't, but it is. It's like magic. It can't be seen, but it's real. And so that's when I started learning how to spiral energy out of myself, actually, and spiritually meditate to a degree where I was guided meditations. I was taken through guided meditations and finally started feeling my body ground and was able to meet myself. And now I can, like, it was with in like 5 minutes, kind of check in within myself. But when I was learning how to do that, it took me 12 weeks of how, like, seeing within. Um, and I reached out to Dr. Akua after that course, because I feel like I had what I'm gonna call in my imagination right now an ego splatter of like not really seeing and pulling forward what I really have, because I got pregnant and it was kind of like what I needed to do was reread my client manual from Dr. Akua, because it's like, the course did, all due respect, the course taught me, yes, I know how to manifest, but it's like everything is a story. And the story just has one word, and that one word is actually a feeling. And that feeling is actually grasped from a belief system deep within that actually can be met and transformed. And therefore the feelings can be exchanged and transferred. But like it can't, what I mean is it's not me, is it can't be done without having faith in something. And I mean, like, that's none of my business. I I can care less what gives someone so much joy. What matters is that someone is able to connect the top of their chakras into the divine, and the root chakra into the earth. And so that's what the work is really about. And I think next up to Akua would be a Reiki Master certification from a life of peace. But yeah, I thank you for asking me to speak of my journey. It's
Yes.
um, it's really brought
Well,
in another piece of grounding, being a mother, and a mother that it is alone with the children a lot, and that's okay because it's so temporary.
now, when I think of the little ones, I think of how I encourage parents, when the babies are small, life is really no longer about us. And you being a mother that has this spiritual knowledge, this health knowledge, being a naturopath, being a spiritual guide, being an herbalist, they, where you are now, you're not even at your best.
I'm gonna give you an amen.
And so, as you are growing those
Thank you.
beautiful little ones, right, they are getting the best of who you were 10 years ago. So, in other words, you're not who you were 10 years ago. But now that you have this kind of knowledge within your cipher, I mean, it will just be magnificent because there's so many things that I know that you've learned, that you've just talked about, that you'll be able to give them, just like as if it's a normal life. And that's one thing that I strive for when I was a new mother too. I made sure that the babies ate right. I made sure that they prayed. I made sure that they meditated. I made sure that they were around people that supported their spiritual development.
Mm.
And so when I hear you talk about everything that you've brought into your realm as a person and now as a mother, I want to see those kids in 18 years.
Oh, really? Because I really appreciate
And
that
I
because I
know
want to
that
take a
they're,
kid to Africa to see you in
and
18
I,
years.
okay.
That would be so
And I
cool.
know that they're going to be magnificent because I can tell you've internalized it. And internalizing it means that now you can apply it to living, which you've already started doing. And so when you live that wellness life, it makes things better for everything within your immediate realm. Absolutely. Even if something is fighting against you, it's still getting the good, good.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Can I
So,
share one last thing with you?
yes, I was just about to say if there's any other thing you'd like to share before we sign off.
Is I'll never forget in your introduction how you say how hard it is to almost become a part of that community. It's not when I say how hard, that's not full of density. That's full of like if you are truly destined to help humanity through naturopathic work, through spiritual, through anything natural, like it will happen, but it will take dedication. It will take journaling visions, because making the life so requires bread and butter. Okay, that's my point. Like, oh, being an herbalist, there's kind of like there's not that much money, so I'm not focused about that anymore. What I ended up doing for myself and my family is handcrafting herbal soaps. And I don't mean that for there's no website or anything, nothing like that for sale. But it is. I mean, I even have an infusion going right now of calendula, one calendula olive oil infusion, and then one yarrow and olive oil infusion. And it's so empowering to make handcrafted, all natural, non toxic, um, eco friendly soap for yourself and your
Wonderful.
family. And just, yeah, so it's just nice. It's empowering. Thank you so much
Wonderful.
for
Thank,
creating a life of peace. And
oh,
congratulations to 20 years and
thank
20 years
you.
to infinity.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
generations to come.
Absolutely. And it's because of young people like you that are getting the knowledge and carrying the knowledge forward. That's how we exist. So thank you very much for joining me today. I truly appreciate it.
Yes.
And I want to let everybody know that you can watch this anytime on our YouTube channel at A Life of Peace or our Facebook page at A Life of Peace also. And for those of you who are continuing to follow us during our year-long celebration, you have just signed in, and I hope you like and do all of that other stuff that they talk about on the YouTube channel, subscribe and all of that. So I want to once again thank you for joining in with us on the mark, the impact, and the legacy of a life of peace at 20. See you all next time. Peace and blessings.